Welcome to Credit Union Joe is Disrupted with Josh. Today we're welcoming Casey Quick, VP of Sales and Service with Community Choice Credit Union, a $635 million shop out of Johnston, Iowa. Casey, welcome. All right, we're going to learn three things that we should need to know about you. First, what's your favorite movie?
Oh, absolutely. Karate Kid.
Karate Kid.
Daniel
Nice.
LaRusso,
Favorite
Mr.
food?
Miyagi. Can't beat it. Tacos. Always tacos.
Nice. And if you weren't making the credit union difference, what would you be doing for a living?
I would probably be selling something to somebody somewhere.
I hope selling something to somebody is like used Karate Kid DVDs or Betamax. That would be better. Since you said Karate Kid, all I thought of is, "What's wrong, Daniel? I hate this bike, stupid bike."
All right, well, we're on the clock.
Man.
Casey, I want to be respectful of your time. Let's start it off. Why is accountability important for teams selling retail banking products?
Oh, lots of reasons. We need to ensure that our members are getting the experience that they deserve. This starts with managing their pipeline, managing what's coming in the form of a lead, making sure that they're effectively working those leads. They're being following up. They're upholding to our standards. We're looking at the entire process and looking at seeing how many of those leads we turn into applications and how many of those applications can be turned into funded loans or products. So keeping your team accountable is important, but especially when you're coaching towards the behaviors as opposed to the numbers. You want to keep them accountable towards those behaviors because those numbers will follow.
So, what are the key
Hang on,
metrics
Joe.
for
Hang on,
measuring?
Joe. Hang on, Joe. I'm sorry. I'm confused. I mean, I appreciate a little bit. There were a few big words in there that I caught, but I'm thinking to myself when you're saying accountability, but then you combine it with experience and holding the people accountable, and I mean, and it seems prescriptive almost. Like, are you able to have genuine experiences for people, or are these just prescriptive experiences if you're holding accountability? Because doesn't that just drain your morale?
Oh, absolutely not. So that's a really good question. You need to be authentic when you're dealing with members and try to deliver those experiences, but you need to have things in place so they have the opportunity and the ability to deliver those experiences. And if they're not doing so, we got to keep them accountable. So you got to follow up throughout the entire process, as far as something as simple as an email response. How soon do they respond to someone via email? What was said in that email? How was that experience for that member? And did we follow up with anything that they had for that employee? So the experience matters throughout the entire process, and you got to keep people not just accountable to doing the right behaviors, but also keeping accountable to the metrics that you'd hold dear, and a lot of that is going to be the member experience.
So, Casey, what are those key metrics for measuring accountability?
Good question. So if you're measuring accountability through like the lead process, it starts with the lead. Okay, so what the metric from the lead to the first contact? How soon is that? The first contact to the application. What does that metric look like? What's that time? Now, then you have the application to decision, and then you have decision to the completion. Is it funded? Did it get declined? What other things did you offer during that decision? So measuring each one of those time slots ultimately will improve your book to look, which is really the ultimate goal.
Why do you think it matters? Why do you think it matters on the front end ones versus just the person said they wanted a loan, they applied for a loan, and then they got a loan? And I know, did it approve? Did it close? Was it withdrawn? Why the other measure points in your mind? Why does that matter?
Well, because if the loan just got approved and funded, that's a lagging indicator. You might have 300 at bats, and if you only close 100 of those, you got a 33% book to look ratio. But how many opportunities did you miss? And did you miss them because of the initial response time? Did you miss it because of lack of follow-up? Did you miss it because indecision? Or did you miss it because you weren't able to close the deal? All those things are a little bit different, and they're different coaching opportunities, and they're different techniques in every part of that lead progression. So knowing that, having that data gives you more, I think, ammo to customize your coaching and level up your employee.
Hey, Joe, sorry, not sorry. I'm going to Demi Lovato you there. Do you think though, then, can I make the leap that, are you saying that getting a lending product or some lending product, especially because it seems to be what you're talking about, do you think those are impulse decisions for people, like impulse buys in a lot of regard, or is that what you're saying? So like an impulse decision, if I'm in the grocery store, it's right then and there, and I've got to make that decision only so much time. The more time that goes from when I decide I'm going to get it to not, less likely I'm going to buy it. Are you saying that? Would you say that these products are impulse decisions?
You're putting words in my mouth. That's why your local grocery store has those candy bars in the checkout line. You didn't come there to get that Snickers bar, but on the way out, if it's there and it's readily available, you might pick one or two up. So absolutely, these are impulse, these are emotional purchases. So the longer you have a lag time where that emotion dies down or that impulse dies down, the least likely you'll have to fund that loan or product.
All right, I'm going to have to mute Josh there for a second. I'm going to get this question. Let's bring us back in. How do you mix having a standardized process for your teams and devoting time to customized coaching? It can't seem like you can have it both ways, can you?
Well, I believe you can. So standardized processes, I think, are important. So you hold everybody to the same standard. We have a process that we've built, but in regards to the sales process. And so you keep that standardized. However, everyone's coached differently. Everybody's why might be a little different. So when you're coaching individuals, you need to find out what their why is. Coach them on, figure that out and use that lever as a motivational factor to coach them up. So keeping the process standardized, but, communicate with your team, find out what makes them tick. Sometimes it's not money. Sometimes they want to just career path. They're looking for that career path. They need help to do so. So there's a lot of different levers that you can pull when you're coaching, but keeping those processes standardized, I think, is important.
You used a process. You said process, accountability, and sales. These words are coming through for me. Isn't that not being a credit union? You always hear that credit unions are for service. Can you be a sales organization and a service organization and be a credit union, or are you just just a sales hungry organization?
Well, I would argue with you that if you're not a sales organization, whether you're a credit union or not, you won't be along for very much longer. We're in a hyper competitive space. So if we're not selling our products and services, that guy down the street will, because our money is no greener than his. So we have to sell our products and services. We have to let our members take advantage of every opportunity that we have to afford, whether it's a product, service, get into them as much as possible. So in order to retain our membership base, otherwise the guy down the street is looking to pluck them out of our hands as soon as possible. So in my estimation, sales is not a dirty word. Sales is service. Sales is servicing our member. So it's uber important, and it needs to be a focus of not just credit unions, but any financial institution anywhere.
Yeah, Joe, I know you're going to push me off here, but I'm curious. If it's really quick, this last one, and I'll try to be quiet. I'm going to try. I got tape somewhere. I'll close my mouth. Okay. All right. So how do you balance against having this accountability, having a sales culture, and still wanting to provide service, and not having a concern that your staff is just going to start giving people products that they shouldn't have or they don't need? How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, that's a good question. You have the standardized processes, okay? So obviously you don't want that to happen. You don't want individuals to make decisions that's not altruistic. They're not looking at the best interest of the member. So you got to have those things in place, and you got to monitor that to make sure that your incentive programs are making sure that you're pushing the member's interest first. That is a concern, but when you manage that correctly, it should not become an issue if you have the right people and you're having the right communication and you're doing the correct coaching.
All right. Well, Casey, I'm going to let you off the hot seat there. Appreciate your time. Really going to bring it back. It sounds like, accountability is about keeping track of your pipeline to deliver on that member experience, because you don't want any missed because of you. And having a standardized process is key, combined with that customized coaching to keep those lines of communication open with your frontline staff is what helps you deliver on sales and service with an accountability for a credit union. Is that right? I feel like a good summary there, Casey.
That's a pretty good summation. I think Alf in the background agrees. I love the poster, Joe. Digging the poster.
Always refreshing. Thank you, Casey, for your time. Always refreshing to hear the idea that you can have accountability to sales, which what you're saying is keeps your organization thriving and relevant, and still providing service and doing right by your members. So
absolutely,
it's refreshing, because a lot of times it feels like people think those have to be independent.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been Credit Union Joe is Disrupted with Josh.